Hi everyone, welcome back to Return of the Nerd. Today we're going to talk about evolution of the action figure kind. So I wanted to, this has been like kind of going around in my head for a long time. Over the last 10 to 15 years, what we've seen is not really people collecting action figures per se, but we've seen collectors pushing the boundaries of technology. We want our action figure to be fully posable, which means more than 5 points of articulation. And now that, it means over 20 something or 30 something points of articulation, swappable hands, extra weapons, removable helmets, digital face sculpts, butterfly shoulders, etc., etc., etc. Amazing paint. It needs to look as authentic and realistic as possible, and because of the desire from the collectors themselves, Hasbro, obviously they take note of this, and then they have to then push the manufacturers to go to the next level. And so you've seen over the last 10 to 15 years this gradual and sometimes very quick advance in technology. And that's what's really driving, I think, the market is the technology. So now I'm going to hold this up. Okay, this is not retro collection. This is very sticky. It's got sticky legs. This is from Return of the Jedi. It's a Kenner figure. And also I've got here a Bespin Luke as well. Really mint condition. And what I don't understand is why is it that the retro collection is this tiny subline that I feel that Hasbro has kind of pushed to one side, and I don't really feel they pay much attention to it. Whereas in terms of production and manufacturing, it's the easiest. They're the easiest things to make because they are toys essentially. It's very difficult to actually apply the word toy when you're talking about vintage collection, especially the vehicles, these Hablaz vehicles and, dioramas, and also the Black Series. It's very difficult to call them toys, right? Because, as I said before, it's mainly about the technology now. That's what people are attracted to. These essentially are still toys, and I think it's still very simple to make this kind of action figure with the the injection mold techniques that they used back in the late 70s and early 80s. So in order to pump out, say, a nice box set, I don't think it really costs Hasbro that much money or much hassle. I think the problem is that the decisions on which characters to create, I think, has been very poorly managed, because obviously if you're over 50, you were very, very young at the time when Star Wars hit the big screens, and then it became a cult classic overnight, and the market was absolutely flooded with Kenner Star Wars action figures, and it was an absolute craze. So these are easy to make, they're cheaper, and people don't expect any kind of evolution. Retro line collectors aren't expecting anything to be improved. Do you understand my point? You're just recreating, or you're just reproducing exactly the same thing that Kenner did back in the day, and then you repackage that in a nice retro collection card back and a bubble, and we put it on our shelves, and we feel happy because the nostalgic value attached to these figures is basically priceless. I mean, it's not the money, it's your heart, and it's the memory of being a child and playing with these toys. Okay, so essentially the retro collection they are still kind of toys, right? Hasbro, you should be right now, like, get everyone together and just have a big push and just get original trilogy. Forget about the prequels. Like, why do we need this? I mean, come on, the Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. We don't need that. The original trilogy. Just make as many figures as you possibly can, and reproduce them like crazy with these nice box sets, and even, you know, obviously give us characters that we never were able to buy from the original 97, you know, like Moff Tarkin, and who was another one I mentioned before, Dr. Evazan, the Rebel Fleet Soldier. I just keep repeating myself in these videos. Hasbro, are you listening? You can come up with so many characters that were never produced, and it'll be very easy to manufacture them at a very low cost compared to Black Series and the Vintage Collection. And I think the market is getting bigger and bigger all the time. Stop, you know, screwing around with, hey, would you like some Acolyte retro line? No. Would you like the Book of Boba Fett retro line? No. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. Stop it. Would you like some multicolored Chewbacca's with us? No. I couldn't care less if my Chewbacca had, you know, a purple left leg, a red right leg, and his body was yellow, and his hair. Why? It just stop it. Just bring out the Kenner. Bring them out. Let's go, people. Let's do it. I mean, this is not rocket science. And then once you do that, you'll then get people who collect the retro line say, hey, can we have some vehicles? And they don't have to be really big ones, like with the HasLab projects. You don't need to have retro line HasLab projects. That's a waste of time, because the whole point of retro is they're plain and simple and they're children's toys, and we want them back in our life. So you can just make something really easy, like from Empire Strikes Back. We had some bounty hunter vehicles, and we had like a rebel soldier, like a tank, and you could even make new vehicles and accessories. You don't have to go back and, well, I guess we should make the Ewok village again. Or no, you don't have to do that. You could make something that Kenner didn't make. Okay, so like, get a focus group together, get your marketing team together, and get some ideas down on paper, because the retro line, and also now that those red stickers, those horrible, ugly red stickers are, we can actually, if we want to, we can remove them, peel them off, which I think is such a great idea. Yeah, I mean, there's so much you can do with the retro line, but I just feel like nobody's doing anything. Or maybe Hasbro is just being, they're too scared to you know, put their foot in the water you know, you understand what I'm saying, right? So yeah, I would want someone. I know Mr. Stevie, he's the guy that came up with the idea for the retro line in the first place, and then he disappeared, and now he's come back again. So I'm really hoping that he can like really push you know, the suits, the executives in Hasbro, and so, like, come on, look, we need to make you need to take a risk. And I mean, you can't use the excuse, well, you know, it's kind of risky, right? Because, you know, we don't know, we might manufacture all these retro vehicles and retro figures, and then people might not buy them. Okay, well then I'll ask you, why did you bother to churn out the Acolyte figures? Why did you churn out Ahsoka figures or Mandalorian figures in the retro collection? Because you know all of them are peg warmers, every single one of them. So you took a very, is that a risk or a really stupid decision? This is not a risk. There's no risk at all attached to manufacturing retro line, you know, original trilogy Kenner style characters. There's no risk. It's risk free. So yeah, what do you guys think? Put that in the comments section below. And what if you were a Kenner collector back in the day, like which characters would you like Hasbro to produce, which they never ever did? Okay, so forget Power of the Force and forget Power of the Jedi or whatever it's called. I'm just talking about Kenner only here, all right? And also think of some ideas for vehicles, playsets, dioramas that Kenner didn't produce, but there's plenty of, you know, just be creative and think, oh yeah, that could be, you know, think of a scene from any of those three movies, you know, Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, and think of a diorama that could be made out of card and a little bit of plastic for a foundation, you know, like before they made the Cantina playset. We had the Hoth base playset as well. Okay, what are some other things that could be made? You know, that's what I'm getting at. Right, guys, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll be back again soon, hopefully for an unboxing, because I'm trying to get my hands on some new TVC and some Black Series, but I'll have to wait until July the 15th until I can get that new Star Wars Retro Collection 6-pack, the one we've been all talking about with the Sand Trooper, with the Poldra. Actually, when I get him, I shall buy the TVC. I should definitely get a Dewback, because the Dewback, this is the weird thing, why the TVC Dewback just looks like the old Kenner vintage Dewback. It's just like, again, you're muddling things together, Hasbro. Come on, keep everything separate and have faith in yourself. Focus on retro, OG, old school. There's no risk at all. You can do it. Let's go. Come on.